Welcome to the latest episode of Prop 5 on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick into 5 Reasons Sports. I got Eric. I got Cesar. I will always mention, use the code 5 at PrizePicks. That's PrizePicks.com, the Google Play Store, or the Apple App Store. You put down $5, play it. You get $50 to play right away. As good a deal as you're going to find out there. It is legal in the state of Florida, and they've been adding stuff back. So now you can go up to 6 players. Now you can do flex play. A lot of stuff that you haven't been able to do recently, they've been able to sort that out. So go to prizepicks.com, use the code 5. Also, if you want to get the best options for your plays and secure the value, go to Big Picks Energy, use the code 5 there as well, and get the free trial. So you can see that from Cesar below. All right, Jimmy's in town. I feel like this is the last Heat game that anybody's going to pay attention to. The Warriors are 4.5-point favorites tonight. Steph Curry is expected to play. Before we get to the Jimmy stuff specifically, is there anything that you guys like tonight that is not Jimmy? And then we'll talk about Jimmy on his own. Cesar, I know you had a play with Khalil Ware. Is that correct?
I have Khalil Ware over 10.5 rebounds, assists. So rebounds and assists combined. I'm going to hit you with some numbers, all right? He's hit 4 out of the last 5 games he's played. Okay? The one he didn't hit, he only got 6. So it sounds like an aberration. Every other game, 12, 15, 13. And the Warriors, they're ranked 28th when it comes to stopping centers from rebounding and 26th when it comes to stopping centers from assisting. So 10.5, I know the number was 12.5 at some point. People probably bet it down. It's 10.5 right now. I think that's great value for a Heat play tonight to pair with Jimmy if you're going to play Jimmy.
All right, Eric, what do you think? Anything else?
Yeah, so I mean, if we're looking at non-Jimmy plays, I'm going to stick on the Warriors side with it, though. One player that's been playing really well of late for Golden State, and this probably does coincide with Steph not playing, although I don't anticipate Steph is going to get his normal workload. It's actually going to be Pods at over 15.5 points plus assists. This is a number that he's hit pretty consistently over the last 5 games. He had 0 versus Brooklyn. Not sure what happened there, but this is a number that he's been pretty comfortable with.
All right, so Pod's playing it over tonight. I'll give you one here towards the end. I want to get to the Jimmy stuff, and then we'll do that. I got a couple of Heat plays that I like. So let's go through the Jimmy board specifically, and I'll give you my thoughts on these. If you guys want to challenge on any of it, you certainly can. 13 rebounds and assists. I would play that one over. He's averaged about 14.5 this season since going to Golden State. He's become much more of a facilitator. Now that Curry is playing, I expect that to continue. I know people are coming out expecting Jimmy to get 40. I don't think that's how he approaches these things. He's going to try to show he can win because he's got better teammates now and he can get them involved. So I'm gonna look at LeBron would often approach it that way too when he would come back to Miami. It didn't work a lot of the time. He kept losing. But I would expect there's no Dwayne on the other side of him this time. So I would expect him to go over on the 13.5 rebounds and assists. 21.5 points, I wouldn't play it. I don't feel comfortable with it really either way. He's averaging 17 in Golden State, so this is a big jump from what he typically does. He's scored a lot when Curry hasn't played. Otherwise, he hasn't scored a lot, hasn't been especially – if I was to play it either way, I'd play it under – but honestly wouldn't play it either way at all. That's sort of how I feel about the 35 points, rebounds, and assists also. I would stay away from it. One play I do like over is half a dunk. I just feel like they're going to get him one. That's it. Just to set him up early in the game, make a statement. It's actually my favorite play of the night is to get him over. You get that half a dunk, you've already won. That's it. I would go over on the half a dunk tonight. Another play I like is half a steal. That's a Goblin play tonight. I think his activity is going to be mostly on the defensive end. He's going to try to prove a point there. But also on the other side, and that's who I'm going to play on the other side. I'll get to it in a second. There's a guy that was traded for him who I think has a point to prove tonight, even though he's much quieter, but he's coming off a 42-point game. So that's sort of what I like tonight. Over half a dunk. I would over the rebounds and assists. I would stay away from the other scoring numbers. Eric, what do you think on Jimmy?
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree on the rebounds and assists. Obviously, when you hear the Minnesota story, it wasn't Jimmy scoring on the starters; it was Jimmy passing and doing all of that Jimmy stuff. I would be tempted, honestly, to look at the Demons on the
Who?
rebounds and assists. I think that if there was a night that, I think a triple double is more likely than a 40-point game. For example, out of Jimmy.
I I agree with you entirely. Caesar, what do you think?
So to me, the best play on the board for Jimmy is assists. The number seems high, 6.5. When the games that Steph has missed, he's gone over by a lot. And even just the last, if you look at the last 7 games, he's hit 6 out of the last 7, over
Right.
6.5 assists. Just like a general sports betting tip for everybody listening. I know the most of the followers are Heat fans. If you're taking any under, if you're looking to hate bet, don't. Just step away, take a break. This is not a day to take under. So I like the Demon. I like any over you can find, but the one that I like the most is assists. I agree with Ethan on the points though. I wouldn't take the points. From the latest report I see Steph is game time decision. So I would just stay away from the points because Steph being in or out, I think, is going to change a lot. I think assist is the way to go if you're going to bet Jimmy.
I'm with you. And I'm looking at on the other side of this, and I'll look at the Heat side. I mentioned the guy that scored 42 in the last game. He has something to prove in this game also. He's been coming on. They're basing the offense more around him. I love Wiggins over 7.5 field goals made tonight. That's my favorite play on the Heat side. There's going to be an absolute focus to get him involved tonight. I think that the Heat want to make a point that they can move on from Jimmy, whether or not that's true or not. I would play him over on 25.5 rebounds and points, but I really, really like 7.5 field goals made. You look at the last 2 games, 16 and 10. He had kind of a clunker against Memphis. They all did, but then he had 9 and 9 against the Clippers in Boston. So regardless of what the situation is, and yeah, they're going to put Jimmy on him. And we'll see if Jimmy's going to play, be the kind of on-ball defender. I think Jimmy's going to be hunting for steals. I think it's going to give Wiggins some opportunities for some easier baskets. Big focus on Wiggins tonight, I think. It reminds me a little bit of when LeBron would come into town and Luol Deng was kind of his replacement, and Lou had 2 big games against LeBron in those games. So I think there'll be a focus there. Before we go, anything else that you like, Eric?
I have a question before you go, Eric, real quick about what you just said, Ethan. Do you really think Jimmy's going to be on Wiggins? Because I was thinking he was going to be on Hero, and that's what I was looking at field goals made. I was thinking he was going to try to this is the guy you wanted to pay, or you wanted to revolve the offense instead of me?
Well, I think that Jimmy will attack Hero off ball, but I think he starts on Wiggins. I actually think Bam's going to start on Jimmy. If Curry plays, I think Wiggins starts on Curry. Gotcha. And I go that way. Now, we'll see if Highsmith starts also. I don't think so. I think they go I think it's probably going to be Duncan keeping Davion and Highsmith off the bench. But that's where I would expect that they would go. So, but I think you may see Bam start on Jimmy, and then Wiggins rotates over to him. And then I think you might even see Davion Mitchell play Jimmy, even though he gives up so much height against him. And I think Haywood too. Haywood's not a big fan of Jimmy personally. I think they're going to give Haywood a few turns on Jimmy defensively as well. Eric, anything else you like?
Yeah, speaking of guys that may have a strained relationship, or may have reportedly had a strained relationship with Jimmy, especially towards the end. If there's a guy that I actually think is going to have a lot of fire in him tonight, it's going to be Duncan. I like Duncan points plus assists over 10.5 tonight. He loves these kinds of moments, and it's the most unexpected thing. But this is the stuff that he does in these kinds of moments.
All right, I think so too. Duncan probably was tortured more by Jimmy than anybody else, literally. One other player, is he on the board tonight? I was looking at Buddy Hield. He's become the new Strus. No, he's not on the board, is he? Yes, he is. He's become like the new Strus for Jimmy, where he gives him a hard time. But I'd take. Buddy's had some games against the Heat. I would low key. I would look at the 14.5 points and assists. I see that on points and rebounds. I would take a look at that. Again, if Steph doesn't play, I really like it, obviously, but then it's probably going to bump up. All right, some of what we like tonight. See you at the arena. I'm going to leave now, I think, because I feel like otherwise I'll get there next week. Check out Big Picks Energy. Use the code 5. Check out Eric's work on the Marlins and the Dolphins as well. Marlins season starts on Thursday. Eric, I got to admit, I had no idea. I really didn't. But you know what? We should do an opening day show. We should do an opening day show.
We should.
Let's do it.
Could we go the Marlins over half a hit? The entire team? Marlins.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I think so.
Marlins over half a hit.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe Xavier Edwards. All right. Have a good day, everybody. Use the code 5.